Most people know Chick-fil-A as the fast food chain that stays closed every Sunday and still somehow makes more money per store than almost any competitor in America. It's a modern business miracle. But behind this unbelievable success is a story very few people have ever heard. A story about a boy who never dreamed of building an empire, never imagined he would become a billionaire, and never expected his name to become a symbol of service, consistency, and loyalty. His name was Truett Cathy, and his journey didn't begin with opportunity. It began with struggle, poverty, and moments that could have ended his future before it even started. Truett grew up during the Great Depression, a time when families across America were fighting just to survive. His father worked whatever odd jobs he could find. His mother ran a tiny boarding house where she cooked for strangers every single day, just to keep the family afloat. And from the time he was 8 years old, Truett was right there beside her in the kitchen. He wasn't learning business theory. He was learning responsibility. He was learning hard work. But those long days watching his mother greet people with kindness, serve them consistently, and make them feel valued planted a seed inside him. It was a lesson he would use decades later to build one of the most customer-loved brands in the nation. After finishing school, Truett joined the U.S. Army and served in World War II. When he returned home, he didn't have a rich family, powerful connections, or some grand master plan. But he did have one simple dream: to start a small restaurant where people felt welcome, a place they would want to come back to again and again. In 1946, with his brother Ben, he finally scraped together enough to open a tiny diner in Hapeville, Georgia. They called it the Dwarf Grill. It wasn't impressive. It wasn't famous. And at first, it wasn't even profitable. It was a small 24-hour diner that served factory workers at all hours of the day and night. For years, Truett was the head chef, the waiter, the cleaner, and the cashier. He cooked the food, he cleaned the tables, he washed the dishes, and he locked the doors every night. And it was in that tiny, unassuming kitchen that he began experimenting with a chicken recipe that would one day change American fast food forever. See, at a time when every single competitor was selling burgers, Truett believed chicken could be just as fast, just as convenient, and taste even better. He spent years trying to figure out how to cook a piece of chicken quickly without drying it out. After countless attempts, burns, failures, and hours spent perfecting every single step, he created something completely new, a pressure-cooked chicken sandwich served on a buttered bun with just 2 pickles. It was simple, it was unique, and customers loved it instantly. But even then, Truett didn't realize he was holding a billion-dollar idea in his hands. He was just a guy trying to run a small diner. The real turning point came in 1961, when he made a decision that would transform his small diner idea into a national brand. He trademarked the name Chick-fil-A, with the A standing for Grade A quality. It was short, memorable, and meaningful, everything a great brand name should be. Then, in 1967, he did something no one had ever done before. He opened the very first Chick-fil-A store inside the Greenbrier Mall in Atlanta. This was the first fast food restaurant in America to operate inside a mall food court. At the time, critics thought it was a terrible mistake. But Chick-fil-A didn't just succeed, it thrived. People weren't just coming because it was convenient. They were coming because the food tasted different and the service felt genuinely personal. Truett Cathy believed that serving customers was a privilege, and he wanted every single person who walked through the door to feel valued. This core belief would later inspire the iconic phrase, "My pleasure," a small detail that became one of the most recognizable parts of the Chick-fil-A experience. But this incredible success story wasn't without its heartbreak. In 1970, Truett's brother Ben, his business partner, his best friend, the person he started this whole journey with, died tragically in a plane crash. This tragedy devastated him. Many people would have stepped away, sold the business, or simply lost the motivation to continue. But Truett kept pushing forward, determined to honor the dream that both he and his brother had built together. Throughout the 1970s and 1980s, Chick-fil-A expanded, but it did so slowly and purposefully. Truth refused to grow too fast. He refused to franchise in the traditional way, maintaining incredibly strict control over quality and operations. His high standards attracted criticism from business experts, but they also protected the brand and ensured every customer had the same great experience. Every new store followed the same formula: great food, exceptional service, and a simple menu executed perfectly. Then, he made a decision that shocked the entire restaurant industry. A decision that seemed like business suicide. He announced that every Chick-fil-A restaurant would be closed on Sundays. His competitors said he was crazy. Investors argued he would lose millions of dollars in sales, but Truth stood firm. He believed his employees deserved a guaranteed day of rest to spend with their families and to worship if they chose. That single decision became a core part of Chick-fil-A's identity, a bold, public statement that their values would always come before profit. By the late 1980s, Chick-fil-A wasn't just growing anymore. It was becoming a cultural phenomenon across the South. Customers didn't just like the food, they loved the brand. They trusted the company. They believed in the culture of service that Truth had built from day one in his tiny dwarf grill.
Chick-fil-A. How did a small southern diner with a simple chicken sandwich become a multi-billion-dollar empire that consistently outperforms giants like McDonald's and Burger King? The answer isn't just in the food, it's in a philosophy that changed the fast food industry forever. As Chick-fil-A rolled into the 1990s, it was at a crossroads. It was a beloved regional chain, known for its southern charm and, of course, that iconic chicken sandwich. But the fast food world was a battlefield. Other chains were locked in a constant war of aggressive advertising, flashy promotions, and the ever-expanding, oversized menus. It was all about being louder, cheaper, and faster. Chick-fil-A, however, chose a different path. Instead of shouting, they decided to whisper. They focused on something much simpler, yet far more powerful, creating an experience customers would never forget. And this seemingly quiet strategy worked better than anyone could have ever imagined. The real secret sauce to Chick-fil-A's explosive growth wasn't in the kitchen, it was in its unique franchise model. Most fast food chains see franchising as a quick way to expand. If you had enough money, you could buy a location, and that was that. But Chick-fil-A's founder, Truth Casey, wasn't interested in just selling restaurants. He was looking for partners. He didn't want investors who would just write a big check and disappear. He wanted people who truly believed in the mission. So, he created one of the most selective franchise systems in the world. Out of thousands of applicants, only about 1% were chosen. Casey looked for character, a strong work ethic, and a genuine commitment to service. He wanted operators, not just owners. This strict selection process created a network of franchisees who were deeply involved in their stores. They were on site, managing their teams, getting to know their customers, and fiercely protecting the company's values. You knew that a Chick-fil-A in Georgia would give you the same great service and quality as one in Texas. By the early 2000s, this solid foundation allowed Chick-fil-A to begin its national expansion. As it moved into new states across the country, a familiar pattern emerged in every city. On opening day, there were long lines wrapping around the block. Popular items would sell out, but most importantly, customers kept coming back. They were hooked on the original chicken sandwich and the friendly service they just couldn't find anywhere else. The brand was growing not through massive ad campaigns, but through word of mouth and a reputation for excellence. Then, in 2003, Chick-fil-A launched one of the most brilliant and memorable marketing campaigns in fast food history, the Eat More Chicken Cows. These funny, hand-painted signs featuring cows desperately trying to save themselves by promoting chicken became an instant cultural phenomenon. The campaign was clever, it was funny, and it perfectly captured the brand's quirky personality. It helped Chick-fil-A become a household name without having to spend a fortune on traditional advertising. It was around this time that the industry really started to take notice. Analysts began to scratch their heads as they looked at the numbers. Chick-fil-A stores were generating more revenue per restaurant than almost every major competitor in America, including giants like McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King. What made this so shocking was that Chick-fil-A was doing it while being open only 6 days a week. The fact that they were closed on Sundays, a day when their competitors were making millions, and still out-earning them on a per-store basis was almost unbelievable. It defied all conventional business logic. How could a chain with a smaller menu, fewer operating hours, and fewer locations be so dominant? The industry struggled to find an answer. But the secret was simple. Chick-fil-A wasn't just selling food, they were selling an experience. As the company's leadership transitioned from Truth Casey to his sons, then Andy Bubba Casey, there was a question of whether the brand would maintain its unique culture. But the brothers remained deeply committed to the core values their father had established: service first, quality always, and the intentional, careful growth. They didn't chase rapid expansion for the sake of numbers. Instead, they focused on finding the right partners and the right locations. One of their boldest moves was expanding into major, fast-paced urban centers like New York City. Many industry analysts were skeptical. They predicted that Chick-fil-A's polite, Southern-style service wouldn't resonate in the hustle and the bustle of Manhattan. They thought New Yorkers were too impatient and they wouldn't have time for my pleasure. But they were wrong. The exact opposite happened. The Chick-fil-A in Manhattan became one of the busiest and the highest-grossing restaurants in the entire city, proving that its appeal wasn't regional, it was universal. People everywhere appreciated being treated with kindness and respect. By the late 2010s, Chick-fil-A's success was undeniable. The company had grown to over 2,6 stores and was generating billions in annual revenue. Year after year, it topped customer satisfaction rankings, cementing its place as America's favorite fast food restaurant. Viral stories started popping up all over social media, showcasing employees going above and beyond for their customers, changing a flat tire in the parking lot, helping a senior citizen to their car, or simply remembering a regular's order. These weren't staged marketing stunts. They were genuine moments that reinforced the brand's reputation. And through all this incredible growth and success, Chick-fil-A remained a privately owned family business. This was a deliberate choice. By avoiding the pressures of public shareholders and Wall Street, the Casey family could protect their unique culture, maintain strict quality control, and stay true to Truth Cathy's original vision without compromise. They didn't have to answer to anyone but themselves and their customers. Today, Chick-fil-A operates over 3,000 restaurants across the United States, with new expansions reaching into Canada, Puerto Rico, and beyond. The company's estimated valuation is well over $10 billion, placing the Casey family among the wealthiest in America. Yet, despite its massive scale and the extraordinary success, the company still operates on the same simple principles. Truth learned as a young boy working in his mother's boarding house in Georgia: serve people with respect, deliver consistent quality, and build something that truly matters. From a tiny 24-hour diner to one of America's most beloved and successful brands, Chick-fil-A's journey is a powerful reminder that greatness doesn't always start with a huge opportunity or a billion-dollar investment. Sometimes, it starts with struggle, with sacrifice, and with the unwavering belief that doing things differently with heart and integrity can create something truly unforgettable. If you enjoy these deep dives into the stories behind iconic brands, founders, and billion-dollar ideas, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Your support allows us to continue bringing these incredible business journeys to life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.